Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the last edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast for the year of 2025. We are back on the verge of New Year's Eve. It's the eve of New Year's Eve. We want to get one more show, and it's going to be a shorter show. We want to talk about Wrestle Kingdom 20. That's coming up here next week, this coming Sunday. Should be, for all intents and purposes, a pretty decent show. The lineup is set in stone, but some additions can still be made. Marcus, you cover a lot of Japanese wrestling on your other podcast, The True Panda Show, which you guys can find over at True Panda Show on Twitter. What are
Yes,
your
sir.
feelings on, first of all, Little Gleet news? Apparently, there's some turmoil over there. They're losing some talents. Have you heard anything about this? I know you guys watch a lot of Gleet.
Yeah, we had kind of gotten off our Glee beat because they had one of the benefits of being covering Glee was they was basically uploading free on YouTube. So when they went to a subscription, we kind of took a sabbatical and went over to Wrestle Universe where we got a lot of bang for our buck, as I'm sure you're aware of. Um,
Isn't Wrestle Universe
more
Noah
recently, Noah, Sendai Girls,
and
just
DDT?
the smorgasbord, DDT, all that good stuff. Um, Kind of one stop shop over there. But yeah, we've kind of gotten off the gleek of it all for a minute. So that's the problem. That kind of sucks because they have some premier talent. Um, I want to say no, I don't think it was Bozilla that passed through there, but a lot of names that came through there. Speaking of what we finna get off into, talking about New Japan, a lot of those names have come through there as well. So um, we've seen a lot of shifts. Hopefully, it's not nothing that kind of takes them out of consideration because they're a really good company.
So, with that said, we are focusing on New Japan today. Um,
Yes, sir.
they're bringing in some guys for the show, but we're gonna hit it beat by beat by beat, and then talk about how I believe they're getting ready to crown their next world champion. First off, though, pre-match 15-minute time limit. You're going to have El Phantasmo taking on current champion Chris Brooks for the New Japan World TV title. Should be a fine match. Chris Brooks is one of the guys that they're trying to really uh, microwave into stardom. Uh, we'll see if it works for them. He hasn't been with New Japan for long. I think he's making his debut at Wrestle Kingdom. He is. So that'll be, assuming he is making it. It's like that should be a pretty interesting debut, especially when he's going for the TV title on the pre-show. Double check that I'm not correct here. I have I think Nakamura's old theme song stuck in my head now.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. Damn, I wish he could pop up that one last time for that show. Knows he hasn't been TV featured.
Right.
Right now.
So by all intents and purposes, it looks like he is making his New Japan debut on the Dome show. He's been with Gleet, or at least did a little show with Gleet. Did Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. He did have a match in New Japan last year. I bet you was at a crossover show though. He was in a four-way hardcore war uh, at New Japan Despe Invitational. That wrong. He took on El Phantasmo Mao and Masashi Takeda. Takeda? Takeda. So, not making his official debut, but it seems like he's making his. I wouldn't be surprised if he won. We'll see, though, if it's any good. Then we have this very intriguing. Some fans hate it. I get it. It is a six-man tag championship tornado Rambo, which means that it's a fucking three on 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 three battle royal. Uh, the teams are Toru Yano and Spirit Tech, which is Master Wato and Yo, defending their never openweight tag team titles against Tiger Mask, Togi Makabe, and Ryusuke Taguchi versus Bolton Oleg, uh, the Bishamon, I can't say that wrong, which is Hiroki Goto and
Ibushi.
Bushimon, and Yoshihashi.
Yeah.
Tomohiro Ishii and Team 100, which is Taichi and Satoshi Kojima, versus House of Torture, which is Ren Narita, Sonata, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, versus The Mighty Don't Kneel, which is Zachary Sabre Jr., Ryoi Oiwa, and Hartley Jackson, Kaizi Takechi, Takechi? I don't know who this is. And Rough Storm, which is Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura. Wasn't Yuya Uemura the main event last year?
Like he was.
Right? I think that's who Saber faced was Yuya Uemura. Oh, it's Shota Umino. Still, Shoto's on the other side of this. Like, what are we doing? They're also taking on the Bullet Club War Dogs, Clark Connors, Oscar, and Yota Ice. Definitely a new set of champions being crowned here. Just who? For my money, I feel like it'd be Teguchi and Rough Storm. It seems like they're the
Yeah.
guys who are young and upcoming. Plus, Kaiji Takachi, Takechai, I think it's Takachi, is a member of the J-pop group The Rampage from Exile Tribe. So, and he's also a DDT Pro Wrestling six-man champion of his own rights. Was he a six-man tag champion with Noah? Toei and Yuki Neno. Makes sense he would win it here then, especially with Yu Uemura and Shota Umino. Those are big upcoming guys for this brand. So like, we'll see what happens. Marcus, any of these groups that kind of strikes your fancy?
Big fan of Bushimon just because of my boy Goto, and then Yoshihashi I think has come a long way, specifically thriving within that tag team. Who was the third guy for them?
For Goto and Yoshihashi is Bolton Oleg. I think
Okay,
he's
yeah, that's
Bulgarian.
yeah.
He's
Uh,
Kazakhstanian.
okay, that's interesting. But yeah, probably them.
Oleg's had a few big matches for New Japan already. I think he's even had a world title match. I think.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's cool. It does seem like a willful cluster F with that because obviously you imagine them it's a gauntlet, so they I mean battle royals, but they well they're gonna have everybody in the come out and then over the top rope, so that's gonna be feel like a cluster F. And that almost feels like a old concept that TNA would have did when they was in their heyday, or they
Yeah,
would have did a gauntlet style. Yeah, something to that effect. But, yeah, I'm probably pulling for Bushima just because that's my my guys. But that's about it. I'm not like I said because it's such a cluster, the potential to be a cluster F, which for some reason they kind of consistently do for whatever final reason. Um, can't say I'm necessarily deeply looking forward to it, but at least they kick off the show with that and don't put it like towards the end.
yeah, and I think that's a good way to go about it. Hopefully, it's entertaining. Next up, though, we have a IWGP Women's Strong Women's Double Championship match, according to the website. It is the IWGP Women's Championship and the Strong Women's Championship, title for title. Saya Kamitani versus Shuri. Shuri is representing, I think I'm pronouncing both these names wrong. She's representing the IWGP champ, and Kamitani is representing the Strong title. So that could be a lot of fun. I hear good things about
Yeah,
both women. I've seen good things from both women. unfortunately, I just watch a lot of Japanese language wrestling with these two, so I don't often listen to it. I can't understand what they're saying. And
No, I get it, man. But
I'd
shoot,
rather listen to the Lucky Boys Confusion for like the 148th time this month. So like, or yellow card. So like,
yeah, when I watch Wrestle Universe, a lot of times, I kind of either just I'll be watching it with the commentary, and kind of just tune it out, or just put it on silent because we watch enough wrestling now that we can do our own commentary
yeah,
in our head as we watch. Not like we're not, familiar with the thousand and some moves we've seen, so we fully comprehend it, and to where not having the commentary won't piss us off, and if we got it, we can kind of just tune it out. So that's But I'm looking forward to this because the women have been been making a lot of inroads in New Japan, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do.
we then have a third, sorry, a 30-minute 10-man tag. On one side, we have Hiromu Takahashi, Drilla Maloney, Gabe Kidd, Dave Finley, and Shingo Takagi versus Hinare, Colin Newman, and the Great Okan. And there's apparently two mystery partners. One who I guess is Andrade El Idolo,
Mm.
though the official website on New Japan does not mention him. So let me just see if I can find something that confirms it. The other name is not yet announced. So we'll see.
Man,
That could be a lot of fun.
it's weird. No, I'm looking forward to that. It's just weird because you just know that one side it would just be, it just was I guess Prime Universe New Japan, what everybody had gotten used to. That'll just be Lij versus what's that what they call themselves, the House of Torture? Is that what they supposed to be?
Yeah.
Um, but that's somebody else. Yeah, so but that'll just be like Lij properly led by Naito, seconded with Hiromu, boy, Shingo pulling up the rear and all that, and Bushi and all them guys. So just an interesting place the company's in general in terms of the roster.
Yeah, I think Naito's about to go to Noah too.
Yeah,
They're they're really leaning towards that.
yeah, Tanahashi's the last feels like of that class, man. 'Cause, Okada, uh, Shinsuke, Tana, like Naito, and you put who Minoru in that class. All those
No,
guys are kind of
Minoru was probably the class before.
gotcha, gotcha. But yeah, with all those guys, man, Tana really is kind of like the last of the Mohicans, as you would say.
Hmm.
None of those pillars are there anymore.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to rebuild the foundation over there in New Japan. Um, I wonder who the last person's going to be. I'm kind of oblivious to who it could be. Getting Andrade, assuming that's even true, is already pretty
Yeah.
shocking. Next up, we have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship number one contenders match. You got El Desperado versus Koji Fujita. I'm pretty sure I'm going to say that name wrong. Eiji Ishimori and Sho. I don't even know who the IWGP light heavyweight champion is.
Hard for me not to root for Despy and my boy Hiromu, man. I mean, not Hiromu,
Eiji?
IG. Yeah. I still remember when he debuted in New Japan, he got introduced by,
He was the new Bone Soldier.
yeah, Bone Soldier. Got introduced by Tama.
Fucking hilarious. At least they made the character worthwhile again.
Yeah.
Oh, Doki is the current light heavyweight champion. Even on the
God,
card?
Doki. Doki.
I don't even think Doki's on the card. Is he hurt? Might be hurt. What an if he's not hurt, what a very weird match to have. Next up, we have the debuting Aaron Wolf against Evil. Aaron Wolf is a gold medalist judokan, and he's making his pro wrestling and New Japan debut here in a 60-minute time limit, never open weight championship match against arguably everyone's least favorite wrestler in New Japan. Off air, I likened him to Kurt Angle. Not because I think he's going to have a 1-to-1, but he's getting a major role on a major show. And he's really just spent most of his life as an amateur competitor in martial arts. So it feels like an apropos comparison. We'll see how he does. They're they're starting to feel like some parallels with Tanahashi's run as president to that of Inoki near the end when he brought in all the guys from MMA and he started having his guys like Yuji Nagata, uh, I think Jushin Thunder Liger, Shibata. He had a bunch of his guys fighting in MMA matches. It did not go well. And it feels
Mm.
like we're seeing the inverse because one of the other things that Inoki did was he brought in fighters. He brought in, Kevin Randleman. He brought in Bob Sapp. Did he bring in Kevin Randleman, or was that a different organization? It may have been that may have been a different organization. But he brought in Bob Sapp. He had a few other mixed martial arts guys come in, and he tried to make New Japan into a MMA hybrid situation, which just did not work. And I'm worried that this is going to happen again with Tanahashi because he's really pushing Oleg. Not Oleg. Is it Oleg? Bolton Oleg. He's really pushing him. He's another guy with
Yeah.
heavy amateur credentials, and it feels like he's about to push Aaron Wolf just as hard. And when you have guys who have limited experience, that's not always the best idea. And
Thought he
with
was I
yeah,
thought I thought Kid was up next. Gabe?
Gabe was up next, but it feels like he fell off, and I think there might be a reason for that. There's a few guys who are up for renewal. I know Drill Maloney is one of them, so is Dave Finley. And maybe Gabe Kidd. So there's every possibility that, these dudes are going to be elsewhere here in a little bit. It wouldn't surprise me. It actually leads us into another talking point, which we'll have here in a few seconds. But that does bring us into our winner take all match, our second winner take all match of the night. It's Kaneshika Takeshita taking on Yota. Is it Tushi? Sushi? Tushi? Tushi.
Gucci.
And it's going to be a title unification match, I guess, or just winner takes all. And Yota, who we'll talk about here more on its own, seems like he's going over. And if he does, I feel like they couldn't do it fast enough because it feels to me, even though Kaneshika Takeshita is a very good pro wrestler, it feels like he is to New Japan what Trick Williams was to TNA. An outsider,
Mm.
an invader, a guy who doesn't rep New Japan but reps himself. And there's this idea that I'm having that Yota is going to be the one who dethrones him and brings New Japan back, so to speak.
Mm. Mm.
Just a working
Yeah,
theory.
yeah, no, I dig. I like it. I mean, you're not wrong. They do need. I mean, we just talked about like the foundations that have shifted because the old guard is essentially, like I said, Thomas, the last of it. All those other names that were pillars for them are gone. So obviously, he's kind of Thomas leading that way, certainly as the head of New Japan. But yeah, I mean, to me, Kester's a stud. Um, but yeah, a lot of people were not happy. New Japan faithful certainly when he won uh, the G1 and got the title. Um, and it's hard to argue with somebody that talented, but ultimately, much like you said, making a comparison with Frick, and obviously these are severely different talents in terms of actual in ring ability. But yeah, it just don't feel right. In the direction that they are right now, the direction that they need to go is top your own fresh talent, and you kind of stall it out when you got somebody that has to be split between two companies like that. So, you kind of need to get the title home, as me and you be 10-day faithful has been talking about ad nauseum this entire year, it feels like. And yeah, you kind of got to kind of pace it out because it's only so much you can do. We saw what happened when Moxley had the U.S. Championship and how tumultuously bad that was.
Yeah.
So they don't need to spend too much time constantly doing that. They can keep a loose functional relationship with AEW without having them infringe upon them the way feels like WWE is still doing with TNA. And I think Suji kind of has foresight to see where that can lead to and then where that could create stoppages for them, particularly with Tana retiring, leaving a big gap there for talent to need to fill. A lot of talent can't just be one guy and then one guy. They don't have one guy that could absolutely replace Tanahashi straight up and down no way. I don't think so. Yeah, he's got the right direction with that. Even you know, I think not too long ago, or maybe in the same breath you mentioned about bringing like the old IWGP proper heavyweight title back. So
Yeah, and we're going to talk all
you
about
know,
that here in a second.
yeah, it seems like he's got a good direction on where he would like for things to go. Whether they do it or not, because they could always go the other way with it. I think they've made some weird choices, but yeah, it goes. But I'm kind of rooting against, I guess, in this thing just because I know how it feels to have another guy that's not a home guy with the belt.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we're at here. Main event though, Tanahashi versus Okada one last time. Iconic rivals. Okada AEW, Tanahashi New Japan, New Japan till the end. And it's going to be a sad night.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we get a better ending to Tanahashi's career than we did for John Cena's. But, you know, the bookers of New Japan have not proven to be great in recent years. Many are hoping that we get new creatives. I don't know if we will, but I'm kind of on board. I
So
think
many
it's
things.
time. That's so many. I think it's time to remove creatives in a lot of companies and get new faces in there. AEW, WWE, TNA, New Japan, they can all stand to have new creative directions. So hopefully we get rewarded in Tanahashi's final match. But you mentioned on this before, Yoda Tushi is starting to seem like the guy in the company, just based off of his internet commentary recently. He's done a bunch of interviews with New Japan. First thing out of his mouth is he wants to bring back the IWGP World Title. I'm sorry, he doesn't want to bring it back. He wants to end it. He says, "quote I think it's critical to reconnect with our history. That means reviving the IWGP Heavyweight Belt. If I went on January 4th, I would merge the World Heavyweight Title lineage into the Heavyweight. Back then, I was just a young lion. I was frustrated but couldn't speak up. If I was in a position to say something, then I would have tried to stop the unification of the world title and the heavyweight and intercontinental titles. To me, the IWGP World Heavyweight Title is a curse. I think everyone wants to see this belt come back. The IWGP title has so much prestige. It looks beautiful. It has a certain ambiance to it that you don't get with the new belt. The new belt feels like a corporation made it. The old belt feels like
Mm-hmm.
it was forged in the fires of a wrestling god's, like steel workshop, leather uh, making. I don't know all of them.
Yeah, it
It feels like it
felt
was
like
stolen from the
yeah,
gods.
yeah. I mean, it felt like it encapsulated all the history of that company. and what it took to get there. And I felt the same way about the IC strap. You know, it was a true intercontinental title, and the fact that it felt like the guy that had it had next. Um, you know, in a way when they merged them, it kind of that was another thing that I think kind of sticking point. It kind of bothered me a little bit on New Japan because I didn't feel like they needed to merge them. Uh, I thought those were two of the best belts in all of pro wrestling, both historically and aesthetically. And I've never liked the new belt. It's never it kind of makes me cringe a little bit every time I see it. I tried to get used to it, but really couldn't. Even when my guys ended up winning it in you know, Goto and Shingo. I could barely watch them when they was champions, even though I love the fact that they finally got the big one. So yeah, I like the direction and idea that he got. It's just, you know, but will they let him do it? Like you said, a lot of funny creative things going on with these companies, despite what other people may tell you on the internet. TNA refresh, New Japan refresh. WWE knows they need a refresh, but you can't tell them nothing anyway, and their refresh would just likely be like a lateral or something just as bad, if not worse. So, you know.
That does take us though to another point that Yotushi has said. One that I think is further highlighting what his position with the company will be come January 5th. He says, "Well, I don't want to lose AEW. I don't like AEW. In all honesty, with the relationship between us the way it is, I'd like to cut ties with them. What has being with AEW done for New Japan, really? If it's even handed, if it was an even handed relationship, that's one thing, but it is not. There's certainly a difference in terms of money behind each company, but I don't see that as a reason to be weak willed. This is New Japan, damn it. Now, on the other hand, Kazuchika Okada has played a part in selling the Tokyo Dome out. I have to admit that. I'm sure that it isn't a New Japan wrestler facing Tanahashi in his last match, but there isn't anybody on the roster that has the connections to Tanahashi that Okada has. And I have to acknowledge that. It sounds like New Japan is getting sick and tired of AEW poaching its talent. And it seems like there's enough talent now speaking out against AEW in the locker rooms that Yotatushi feels emboldened to go out in an official interview with the company he works for, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and say these things. These are things that are only said by somebody you feel capable putting the company behind. If you don't feel that Yotatushi is going to win the world title and be your next major star, you don't publish this interview like at all. You don't publish it. You don't conduct it. You just fucking go and hope to God it never comes out. This is clearly a company that is open to the idea of bringing back the fourth belt. This is clearly a company that is open to the idea of ending their partnership with AEW. This is clearly a company that is looking at a new dawn come January 5th. Do you think Yota Tsuji is the guy?
Yeah, I think it could be. Like I'd have to see more of him, but also, um, like you said, they're not gonna let him get too far ahead of himself without kind of reeling him back in if it's not something they don't necessarily want him to say. Um, it could be a mixture of arrogance and working in the paradigm which he's in as the guy that's up next. But yeah, we we've been dealing with it for the longest now. It feels like with TNA, we know how that goes, and it's crazy too because we've been solid on a relationship with two companies in the same country. These companies are on completely different sides of the world, and we've seen how it went the last time. Mention Moxley, how that went. They need to. It still feels like they're building. Uh, also going to be more focused on that as China's going to only have one side of things to deal with um, after the dome. But they need to bring the title home. You know that's you can only do so much when you that thinly spread. They already got Okada. They already got Takeshita. Two names that I wonder if New Japan and some other variation thought they was gonna be able to get, and they went to AEW. So um, but as you were talking about it, I was thinking about between looking at this partnership that's currently going on with TNA, off of what we saw with TNA and AEW not too long ago. If you had to list it, do you have a favorite functional company to company relationship that you've seen over your time as a wrestling fan that you think actually worked?
WCW and the Bowl guys. Mm, so not really. Like
Yeah,
no, no. Yeah, honestly, yeah. I know some people are gonna be like, O'Connell. But the TNA New Japan partnership was really good. You, say what you. Here's the thing Okada was never Okada until he went back to New Japan. People can be like, well, they made him Kato, and yeah, he was nobody. That's like saying, I can't believe Stone Cold Steve Austin had to carry someone's bags in 1987. How disrespectful. He's Stone Cold. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. The Undertaker was eating jobber losses in 1989. You all got to fucking start somewhere. Okada was given TV time. He was given exposure. He was given experience. He was given exactly what was promised to him. New Japan, for whatever reason, believed. Now, if they were told differently, that's on TNA. But New Japan thought that Okada was going to be treated like a superstar when he was a young boy, like he was a young lion. When Okada came over to TNA, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be. I'm pretty sure Okada just got his first pair of original tights. Because as a young lion, you're not aware to have. You're supposed to wear black tights. That's all you're allowed to wear. And I'm
yeah,
pretty sure he just got his tights. I Okada had a rocket strapped to his asshole when he went back to New Japan. That rise was not organic. That was all processed, and it worked. We talk about industry plants. Okada was an industry plant for all intents and purposes. He was handpicked, groomed, and created in a vacuum on high heat to be a world champion for that company. He was not some organic explosion. People were salivating for him. They're Okada. Oh, no, that did not exist. They put him in the driver's seat and he knew how to drive. That's what happened. Aside from Okada, though, that TNA New Japan partnership was great. Tanahashi and Styles had a great match. It was not maybe not great, but it was good.
yeah,
Tetsuya Naito had a big hand in the tag team division at the time. You know, got him over a little bit at least. Liger had a good match with Samoa Joe. Who else? They had a bunch of guys show up. And New Japan, in return, got guys like Jeff Hardy, Kurt Angle, Kevin Nash, I think, showed up for a match. And the Motor Machine Guns to add to Wrestle Kingdoms year in and year out. So I'd say that. I would say that that partnership was mutually beneficial. Unfortunately, it was in an era where to watch most of it, you had to watch it online with Japanese streams. So there wasn't that same penetration that we have now in the cultural
uh,
zeitgeist. And had TNA and New Japan did that relationship now, I think we'd have a very different opinion on TNA. And I don't think the narrative about Okada would be as prevalent. So, let's see. Should Tanahashi win his final match?
I like to see it. Yeah, I think you send the ace out on high. You know, I've always said there's the old wrestler adage. Everybody works hurt, but there's a difference between being hurt and injured.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's worked hurt for you know long period of time, and there's rare points where he's actually been injured. But for the time where he's been obviously hurt with all those grueling G1s, to me, and I've always said like I take a Tanahashi at 50% than most wrestlers at 100 because that's just how good he is. And And I think you send him out, you know, one more time as the true ace. Let him be able to pull up from the depths and really, whether you got to hit a series or just one good high fly flow, let him go out on high one last time. And yeah, Okada don't need necessarily need to win and whatnot, and you can kind of flip the story because the first time I think I tuned in to the New Japan proper was one of that Wrestle Kingdom where it was him and Okada and Tana won and he sent Okada back to the locker room crying. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you could kind of do the thing here of him doing a favor for his guy and just tell that encapsulate that full story of who they've been to each other, what they've done for the company, what this match means in the grand scheme of their fight forever feel story, if you will. And yeah, I send Tanahashi out, as the ace. But that's just me.
I don't think you can go wrong in putting over somebody in someone's final match. If you look at, John Cena and Gunther, I don't think Gunther needed the win. I don't think he had to lose. Same thing with the Young Bucks and Sting and Darby. I feel like we're in a very similar situation now, and it doesn't, matter if Tanahashi wins or loses because Okada's an AEW guy.
Yeah,
Um, so I think you could get away with a Tanahashi win, but I also think that's kind of where the issue lies. I understand Okada being the final guy, but I've always grown up that when you go out on the flat of your back. You put
yeah,
someone over on the way out. Um, Cena didn't do that. Not really. Gunther was already pretty well established. Sting and Darby didn't do that. The Young Bucks were pretty well established. Kurt Angle did do that, but he did it against the wrong guy in Baron Corbin. Um, no, so like you could go either way. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way, just as long as the story is good to get you to the conclusion. I think that's really all that matters. If you tell a good enough story,
yeah,
I think that'll be enough because I think that's the one thing that the Cena Gunther match didn't have was a good story, and I think that's what the
yeah,
Sting and Young Bucks match did have was a good story. And if
yeah,
Tanahashi and Okada can do that one more time, I think however it ends, I think it'll be
yeah.
received well.
Yeah, the only reason why I guess we was on different pages with the Gunther thing is because I just felt like I'm like they needed to get whatever stink was still on him from the Jey Uso thing.
Yeah,
Because
and
I'm like y'all had so for somebody as good as Gunther for y'all to have the audience even doubt anything about him, smart marks or not, um, because of what him losing to Jey Uso horribly by the way. Because not only did he beat him with his own move, he beat him with it, he tapped to his own move in seconds. It wasn't even like it was insane. So I think they needed to get that stank off him and him potentially becoming the guy that retires guys like Goldberg, Cena, and maybe AJ Styles coming up potentially. That you need to recertify the monster if you're gonna do that. And Cena had no problem doing it. And like you said, that might be the one good thing that comes out of it because ultimately the story just wasn't there. Cena's retirement thing was up and down to say the least. And but yeah, hopefully they allow Gunther to kind of keep that momentum because the audience absolutely hates him right now.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, is there anything else from Wrestle Kingdom 4 you want to discuss? Not Wrestle Kingdom 4, Wrestle Kingdom you want to discuss?
Oh, are you doing your yearly tradition of staying up for it, or you go catch it on the back end?
Well, so I got a new gig doing overnight security as a Firewatch guy for for this company I work for now. And so I do two 12-hour shifts and it's Sunday morning for us if I remember correctly or is it Monday morning?
Mm, gotcha.
Saturday morning. I Whatever morning, I want to say if it's Sunday night, it'll be Sunday morning for us or late Saturday
Yeah,
night. So I'll
yeah,
probably watch a good chunk of it while I'm at work. Because one of the things I got to do is observe, detect, and document any potential fire hazards. I have to do that once an hour, but aside from that, I'll have a lot of free time, especially in the early mornings of Sunday. So I'll probably be
yeah,
able to watch a lot of it live. What about you? You gonna watch it live?
yeah. I might try to catch some of it live. At the very least, potentially try to catch the final, and then maybe backlog the rest of it. Um, so yeah, but this is gonna be a big one. If you know, just for the final alone, being Tyler's last big go out. So
I think it's the perfect night to crown new champions of a new generation. I really do.
indeed,
Speaking of which, Bear Bronson won a battle royal to become TNA World Championship #1 contender. He's not going to win it, but he will face Frank Kazarian. What do you feel about TNA kind of strapping the rocket to Bear Bronson? Because we're talking about the same vein of pushing guys and making stars and what have you. How do you feel about that?
it's interesting because we of the guys that they have. You know, you would think they'd be doing something else, but you know, he is a newer face. We've been talking about you know, kind of needing some new infusion with the company, with everything going on both sides with the roster, with the women, men and the women. And we didn't really have an expectation for how long Frankie's one was going to be. But imagine was it going to be long, but who knows? You know, if he can stay healthy and he's serviceable in the ring, certainly. But yeah, I don't necessarily mind it. We do need some fresh faces. I wish they give more looks like that to guys like Jake something who have been there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it should be interesting to say the least. And much like you, I don't expect them to win it. Um, but it wouldn't be the first time. If it went the other way, it wouldn't be the first time they kind of threw us off our chair this year with some of the decision they made. So
I think it could be a lot of fun to have them radically push new guys to the roster, but I see how badly they've used, and I see how badly they've used other younger stars like or newer guys like Alexander Hammerstone, and I just think to myself, Bear might be getting this huge ass push, but how long? When will Delirious get bored and want to move on? It worries me because Delirious is such a bad fucking book, critically bad. So see what happens. Wrestle Kingdom's this Saturday or Sunday Eastern time. It says Sunday, so I gotta say that that's Saturday night, Sunday morning for us. So check that out. Should be a lot of fun. Marcus, any final thoughts on anything from this week in wrestling?
anybody listening, just go to Twitter and type in Trish Stratus. She won't regret it.
Trish Stratus, Australian FHM. You're welcome.
Yep,
Website realnerdcorp.com, REALNERDCRP.com. We're on Twitter at NERDCRP. We are also on our personals. Marcus, you're on Twitter at Paradox Kid, PARADOXKID.
that's me.
You can also find them on this other podcast, The True Painting Show, where they're now talking about Wrestle Universe, DDT, Noah, Sendai Girls. Check them out there by going to their Twitter account at why the fuck can't I remember the name of the Twitter account now?
True Penny Show.
Thank you. True Penny Show, TruePennyShow. Check them out on Twitter as well. That's where they post links to their shows, listen to their content, spread the wealth, spread the joy. You can also find me on Twitter, Chad Nerdcorp, CHADNERDCRP, and on the Instagram at Chad's Photo at CHADSPHOTOHUT. Darby and Sting will be making a rare appearance on our Instagram page. That's a joke. I'm wearing a Sting sweatshirt. And my cat, who's a little black psycho named Darby, will be shown. It's going to be funny. cute. If you like cats, like the photo. We're also on our website, realnerdcorp.com. Once again, twitch.tv/Wrestling Underground. We're going to stream eventually. We just got to figure out how to do it without losing bandwidth and constantly disconnecting and reconnecting. You can also find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Wrestling Underground, where we upload all of our shows, regardless of if we record them live or not. Here's out there. For Marcus Green, I'm Chad Porta. Thanks for being in. Thanks for giving us a chance. Remember always to watch more wrestling. And Marcus, take us home.
No,